We trained for 5 months together to get to a pretty decent level. All of the rowing in the film is us, pretty much, apart from some really wide shots. It was important for us that we could achieve that and row as if we were Olympians. So the first 2 months of that process before we started shooting, we rowed for 4 hours a day on the River Thames. We trained doing in the gym stuff, and we had a we had a PT, we had nutritionists, we had physios, we had people giving us massages when we were doing the races. It was a professional sports outfit that we were a part of. It's one of the most excruciating things I've ever done in my life, physically and emotionally. I remember going back to my house and getting in the bath after rowing, after like maybe 6 days, and I could barely move, and I knew that the next day I had to recover to get back in the boat with the guys. You know, there's a responsibility that you feel, and you don't want to be left behind, and there was this competitive nature to the thing that we all had that drove us on to succeed.
Joyce sort of followed Joe to college, but they'd been childhood friends, yeah, she grew up in a pretty domineering household with her mother and her father. Her father was a pretty hard worker and showed very little affection. In the book it said just to their dogs, but not to any of the people of the household. Her mother was very religious, pious, stern woman, and I think she was craving, I think she like grew up feeling very controlled, and she was feeling trapped, and I think Joe offered some sort of like freedom and light and joy in her life, and she really ran with it. She leaned into that relationship, and then there's this really beautiful romance that develops, and then they stay together for the rest of their lives, but you really see like the beginning of this beautiful relationship in the movie, and then they get married in real life. In the book, they get married on their graduation day, like a year later, and then they spend their lives together.
I love sports and I love movies, so the two things combined with an underdog story is just, you know, the most rewarding type of movie, I think. And you know, what these guys did and how they learned to be together and pull together and set aside their differences, I think is the takeaway here. And you know, most people in the world just want to get along, and they love their neighbor, and they want to see their neighbor do well, and that's what these boys were able to do.
I'd been a fan of George's, of his acting work and films that he had directed before going into this, and I was excited, but I was kind of nervous. But then meeting him for the first time, he was just the most generous, genuine guy, and as a director, he was just a complete leader and professional, but he also knew how to really take joy in the thing he was doing, which kind of allowed everybody to feel more at ease and take joy as well, and I think that translates onto into the film.